All right, let's dive into the book of Numbers. Now, if we're being honest, this is a book that a lot of us might just skip over. All those names, all those rules. But what if I told you that in just the first 6 chapters, we find God's incredible, detailed blueprint for building a holy nation from the ground up? It's fascinating.
I mean, just try to wrap your head around that for a second. This wasn't just a wandering crowd. This was a whole nation. Over 600,000 men, plus women and children, out in the Sinai desert. They needed structure, they needed purpose, and they had to figure out how to live with God's holy presence, literally camping out right there with them. That is a massive logistical and spiritual challenge. So let's see how God tackles it.
So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through this blueprint step by step. We'll start big with the national census, then we'll zoom into the camp's incredible layout. From there, we'll look at the special role of the Levites, the rules for keeping the community pure, a path for personal devotion, and then we'll end with the beautiful blessing God gives to cap it all off.
So, where does God start? Well, his very first command in the book of Numbers is to take a census. And this isn't about bureaucracy. It's not just a head count. This is about establishing identity, about giving every single family and tribe a specific role and place within this new nation. It's all about getting organized for a divine purpose.
And the number they come back with? It's huge. Over 600,000 men, 20 years and older, ready and able to march. Every tribe is counted, and we learn that Judah is the largest. You see, this immediately tells us this is no disorganized mob. This is a structured, powerful nation, an army ready to move as one body when God gives the command.
But right away, there's this really interesting exception, the tribe of Levi. God says don't count them with the others. Why? Because he had a totally different job for them. Their service wasn't going to be on a physical battlefield. No, their task was spiritual, to guard and care for the holiness of God's dwelling place at the very heart of the nation.
And this idea of order doesn't stop with just counting people. It actually extends to the physical layout of the entire camp. In chapter 2, God gives Moses what is basically a divine schematic, a blueprint for how Israel is to live together. And trust me, every detail matters.
I mean, just look at this. This is divine city planning. The 12 tribes were grouped into 4 major divisions. Each division had a lead tribe and a designated position: north, south, east, or west. The massive division led by Judah was always on the east, and they were the first to march out. There was no chaos here, just perfect, divinely inspired cohesion.
And here it is, the most brilliant and crucial part of the whole design. What was at the very center, the geographic and spiritual heart of the entire nation? The tabernacle, the dwelling place of God. So every single day, no matter where you were in the camp, you would wake up and your eyes would be drawn to the center, a constant, powerful visual reminder of who was truly at the center of your life.
So now, let's zoom in on that inner circle around the tabernacle. Chapters 3 and 4 are all about the Levites. We get the details of their unique calling and the incredibly important responsibilities they had, serving as ministers to God on behalf of all of Israel.
Now here's the core idea of their calling. See, after the Exodus, God originally claimed every firstborn male from all the tribes. But here, he makes a substitution. He says, instead of taking the firstborn from every family, I am going to take this one entire tribe, the Levites, in their place. They were literally set apart, consecrated for the full-time service of the sanctuary.
And this was a highly organized operation. The Levites were divided into 3 main family clans, and each had a very specific, high-stakes job. The Kohathites, they handled the most sacred furniture, the Ark of the Covenant, the golden lampstand, the holy stuff. The Gershonites were in charge of all the fabrics, the curtains, the coverings, and the Merarites had the heavy lifting, the boards, the pillars, the structural frame. Everyone had a critical role.
The level of detail is just amazing. God orders another census, this time just for the Levites. And he's very specific. Only count the men between the ages of 30 and 50, the ones in their prime who were physically able to do the hard work of carrying the tabernacle when they moved. That number, 8,580, just hammers home God's emphasis on order, qualification, and complete readiness. Okay, so the nation is organized. The ministers have their assignments. Now the blueprint turns inward. It shifts to the laws that govern the relationships and the spiritual health of the community itself. Why? Because you can't have a holy God dwelling in an unholy camp.
Chapter 5 really hits on 3 key areas. First, spiritual purity. Anyone who was ceremonially unclean had to temporarily stay outside the camp to protect its sanctity. Second, social justice. If you wronged someone and wanted to make it right, you didn't just pay them back. You had to make full restitution plus add a 20% penalty. It was about truly making things right. And third, relational integrity, which brings us to a really unique law.
Now, this ritual can sound pretty strange to us today, but its purpose in that culture was profound. Without modern ways to prove things, a deep suspicion of adultery could completely destroy a family, leaving the accused woman with no way to clear her name. This law took the issue out of the shadows of private accusation and brought it directly before the Lord, the only one who truly knew the truth. It was a divine process to either expose hidden sin or, just as importantly, to publicly prove a person's innocence and restore the relationship.
So, from these big community laws, the focus shifts again, this time to the most personal level of devotion you can imagine. God creates a special path for any individual who wanted to consecrate themselves to Him for a season in a unique way. It was called the Nazirite vow. This vow was marked by 3 really clear outward signs that reflected an inward commitment. First, you couldn't have any grape products at all. No wine, not even raisins. It symbolized being separate from the normal pleasures of the world. Second, you couldn't cut your hair. It was a visible, public symbol of your vow to God. And third, you had to avoid contact with any dead body, which kept you in a state of ultimate ritual purity, even putting the vow ahead of family duties.
And this is what is so beautiful about it. This path to extra devotion wasn't just for priests or Levites or some spiritual elite. Any regular Israelite, man or woman, could voluntarily take this vow if they just felt a desire to draw closer to God. It was a way for anyone to go above and beyond in their personal faith. So after all this, all the counting, the arranging, the laws for the community and the individual, how does this whole section end? Not with one more rule, not with a warning. It ends with a powerful, beautiful blessing. God actually gives the priests the exact words to say to put His name, His very character, over the people.
It starts right here with this amazing foundation. For God to bless you meant receiving His provision, His goodness in your life, and for Him to keep you, well, that was a prayer for His divine protection, for Him to watch over you and guard you every step of the way. Then it gets even more personal. The Lord make His face shine upon thee. I mean, that's such a powerful image. It's a prayer for God's favor, for His smile, for His delight in you. And to be gracious is to ask for His unearned, undeserved kindness and mercy right when you need it the most.
And finally, it culminates in this, the most intimate part. For God to lift up His countenance upon you means He's giving you His full, focused, loving attention. And the result of that, He gives you shalom, peace. And that's not just the absence of war. It's that deep, all-encompassing wholeness, well-being, and security that can only come from being in His presence.
So that really brings us to the heart of it all. Think about it. All the structure, all the rules, all the detailed instructions, they weren't the point. They were the framework. They were the blueprint designed to build a nation that could live in a relationship with the holy God. And what's the ultimate goal of that relationship? It isn't to crush them with rules. It's to bless them. The whole system was so that God could dwell among His people, look at them and say, I will bless them. What an incredible truth.